Eileen Ermita Buhain, Rosemary Arenas, Mylene Garcia Albano, Gwendolyn Garcia, Marlene Primicias Agabas, Emeline Aglipay Villar, Sarah Jane Elago, and Victoria Isabel Noel be constituted to notify Representative Pantaleon de Alvarez of his election as the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and thereafter to escort the Speaker-elect to the rostrum for the oath-taking rites.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The Notification Committee is hereby constituted. The members of the House so named hereby appointed to the Notification Committee, and they are requested to inform the Speaker-elect, the Honorable Pantaleon D. Alvarez, of his election and to escort him to the rostrum. The Chair invites the family of the Speaker-elect to join him at the rostrum as he takes his oath of office. The session is suspended. Gagamit sa kanila. Pakimarkahan yung kay Speaker Belmonte. Kay Speaker Belmonte. Tanggalin mo kasi itong dalawa. Huwag mo munang paunin kasi dapat yun. Announce.
We would like to announce the arrival of the new Speaker of the House, the 17th Congress, Speaker Pantaleon de Alvarez.
The Honorable Dennis Silaugan of Party List ng Kabuhayan will administer the oath of office to the Speaker-elect. The Honorable Dennis Silaugan is requested to come to the rostrum and administer the oath of office to the Speaker. May we request all the members of the House to rise.
I, Pantaleon D. Alvarez,
of having been elected as representative
of 1st District of Davao del Norte, having been elected as Speaker of the House of Representatives,
hereby solemnly swear
hereby solemnly swear
that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge to the best of my ability
discharge to the best of my ability
the duties of my present position
the duties of my present position
and of all others
and of all others
I may hereafter hold
I may hereafter hold
under the Republic of the Philippines.
under the Republic of the Philippines.
That I will support
That I will support
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
of the Philippines.
Philippines.
That I will bear true faith
That I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same.
and allegiance to the same.
And that I will obey the laws,
And that I will obey the laws,
legal orders,
legal orders,
and decrees
and decrees
promulgated by the duly constituted authorities
promulgated by the duly constituted authorities
of the Republic of the Philippines.
of the Republic of Philippines.
And that I
And that I
impose this obligation
impose this obligation
upon myself voluntarily
upon myself voluntarily,
without mental reservation
without mental reservation
or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Speaker, congratulations.
Sure. You may sit down. Colleagues, guests, ladies and gentlemen, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte was elected into office on the basis of a simple promise to the Filipino people: genuine change. Those were refreshing words for a people tired and weary of rising criminality, proliferation of illegal drugs, traffic congestion, corruption, and plain incompetence. Those were the words that blew on the mainsail of his campaign and brought him to a new horizon, the horizon of national transformation. But the President knows, as we all know, that genuine change is impossible if he acts alone. No one, man or woman, not even a Superman, can forge genuine change without the cooperation of the other branches of government and the cooperation of the people themselves. True and genuine change can only come if we as a people and as a nation join hands with the President in achieving it. That is why we in the legislative branch of government have our work cut out for us. We must give the President the necessary legislation which will be his tools to effect meaningful and genuine change. In sum, we too must be instruments of change. We must reimpose the death penalty for heinous crimes. Among ASEAN nations, only Cambodia and the Philippines have no capital punishment. All the other 8 countries impose death penalty in various forms and for various crimes. As the President has said, it is a simple universal law of karma. If you borrow from me 1,000 pesos, then you must pay back the same amount plus interest. If you take a human life, especially if you do it deliberately and with premeditation, you must pay with your life. If by being a drug lord, you destroy the lives and futures of 1,000 people, then you must pay accordingly. The same philosophy is behind the move to revert the minimum age of criminal responsibility from 15 years to 9 years old. This is not, as critics say, a throwback to a barbarian age. The age of exemption from criminal responsibility in Singapore is 7, the same age as in most states in the USA. The Pangilinan Law was admittedly motivated by noble intentions, but it has been a failure on the ground. We must teach our young that there are consequences for everything we say and do. Cuddling teenagers by making them immune from crimes they commit will only breed a culture of impunity. We should instead build a culture of responsibility at an early age. As all commuters know, and that includes all of us here, the traffic in Metro Manila and Metro Cebu is simply terrible. We waste so many hours sitting in cars or buses or riding in jam-packed and rickety MRT and PNR trains instead of spending time at work or being with our families at home. 2.4 billion pesos a day is lost to traffic alone. The situation is, in most certain terms, a true crisis which needs emergency powers to enable the President to act. In this vein, we should revisit and revise the Government Procurement Act. Since its passage into law, many government agencies, as well as those in the private sector, have felt discomfited with RA 9184 as amended. Unlike a free-size shirt, the procurement law should not be a one-size-fits-all kind of law. We should put in enough flexibility to to address all foreseeable possibilities that may arise in the course of government procurement. The President has started the ball rolling in the direction of greater transparency in government with an executive order on freedom of information. We should do our part and enact a meaningful freedom of information law applicable to all branches of government. The greatest crimes are committed in dark secrecy. A freedom of information law will bring the light of truth and transparency into government transactions. The law on income taxation should be simplified into one imposed on gross income progressively. Tax laws have become so complicated that they are exploited by corrupt BIR officials in order to extort money from the taxpayers. Ordinary individuals, for their part, choose not to pay taxes precisely because they do not understand tax laws. A simplified law on taxation would encourage people to pay taxes and contribute to a society that they know will take care of them. As for mining, we would like to see mining companies securing a legislative franchise before they are allowed to operate. That way, their activities would be subject to legislative oversight, and their franchises can be revoked by the oversight body instead of a probably bribable bureaucrat in an obscure DENR office if they violate the terms and conditions thereof. Also, we would like to ensure that these companies do not export the ores they mine. Processing or semi-processing of these ores should be done within the Philippines. This one way to give jobs to our people instead of enriching only the stockholders of mining companies. The labor laws need revision. We should increase the penalties presently in our statutes for the non-payment of minimum wage. And the National Wages and Productivity Commission, the DOLE, should have an arm that will make sure violators are prosecuted. The practice of endo should be looked into. Manpower supply agencies should be mandated upon pain of criminal liability to comply with all labor standards on wages and benefits, and the employer be made solidarily liable. As for Social Security, it is only right and just that the pensions of our retirees should be adjusted upwards so they can buy their groceries and their medicines at today's prices. If we need to increase contributions so we can fund the increase in pension benefits, then we must. We must adjust not only to meet the present needs, but also to anticipate future needs. During elections, our senior citizens and PWDs, or differently abled citizens, should have the option to avail of the procedures for absentee voting. The fact that you are elderly or in a wheelchair should not disenfranchise you from participating in the most sacred exercise of a democratic nation, electing your leaders into office. Instead, and of course, the most holy grail of all, the revision of the 1987 Constitution and the transformation of our system of government from a unitary presidential form to a federal parliamentary one. The unitary and highly centralized form of government was imposed on us by the colonizing power of Spain and the United States of America. And for one reason, total control over the country. The results have been stunted growth in about 80% of our country, and the over-dependence of local government units upon the national government. The power of Imperial Manila over the rest of our nation has to end. Our LGUs need to be allowed to stand on their own feet and to develop and grow as they see fit, subject only to standards that the national government may set. This, among others, should be done by a constitutional convention within a time limit set by Congress. If this legislative agenda seems overly ambitious to some, it is only because of inertia. A body at rest tends to rest indefinitely and will resist movement. But we should not be like the admiral who, because he feared the big waves of the Pacific and the journey into the unknown, dropped anchor in a harbor and held office there. Let us not fear change. The only thing we should fear is the fear of change itself. Instead, let us embrace change. Let us be instruments of change and apply the other side of the law of inertia. A body on the move tends to move indefinitely. Starting today, then let us roll up our sleeves and get to work. Our mission in this 17th Congress is clear: to enact laws that will deliver to our nation and our peoples a future better than yesterday's and brighter than today's. Tinuod nga kausaban, daghang salamat.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf,
Mr. Majority Leader.
at this point, on behalf of the body, I wish to commend the leadership of the House of Representatives 16th Congress for its successful stewardship of this chamber in passing vital legislations aimed at improving the quality of life of every Filipino. For this purpose, I move that we adopt the following resolutions: House Resolution number 106, 107, and 108. And for this purpose, I request that the Secretary General be directed to read the title of the aforementioned resolutions.
The Secretary General is directed to read the title of the aforementioned resolutions.
House Resolution number 106, resolution commending the Honorable Speaker Feliciano Belmonte Jr. for his sterling and successful stewardship of the House of Representatives during the 16th Congress. Honorable Rodolfo Pareñas.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the adoption of House Resolution number 6.
There is a motion to adopt the aforementioned resolution. Is there any objection? There being none, the aforementioned resolution is hereby adopted.
House Resolution Number 107, Resolution commending the Honorable Neptali M. Gonzales II, Representative Lone District of Mandaluyong City, for his sterling qualities and his dedicated and exemplary service as Majority Leader during the 11th, 12th, 15th, and 16th Congress. Honorable Rodolfo C. Parinas.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the adoption of House Resolution Number 107.
There is a motion to adopt Resolution Number 107. Is there any objection? There being none, the aforementioned resolution is hereby adopted.
House Resolution Number 108, Resolution commending the Honorable Ronaldo B. Zamora for his sterling qualities and his dedicated and exemplary service as Minority Leader of the House of Representatives. Honorable Farinas.
Mr. Speaker, I move for the adoption of House Resolution Number 108.
There is a motion to adopt House Resolution Number 108. Is there any objection? There being none, the aforementioned resolution is hereby adopted.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we now proceed to the oath-taking of the members of the House.
All members of the House, please rise. Please raise your right hands and repeat after me. I state your name. Of having been elected as representative, I solemnly this to the best of present position and of all others I may hereafter hold under the Republic of the Philippines, that I will support and defend the Constitution of the Philippines, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the laws, legal orders, and decrees promulgated by the duly constituted authorities of the Republic of the Philippines, and that I impose this obligation upon myself voluntarily, without mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Congratulations.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we now proceed to the election of the Deputy Speakers of the House.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The election of the Deputy Speakers of the House is now in order.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we elect Representatives Eric D. Singson, Mercedes K. Alvarez, Fredenil H. Castro, and Raneo E. Abu as Deputy Speakers of the House of Representatives.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The Honorable Eric D. Singson, Honorable Mercedes K. Alvarez, Honorable Frednil H. Castro, and Honorable Raneo E. Abu are unanimously elected as Deputy Speakers of the House of Representatives. May we request the Honorable Deputy Speaker-elect, Honorable Eric D. Singson, to go up to the rostrum with the members of his family for his oath-taking.